Hi everyone, I'm Heidi Marsh Stabled, and I am a second year theology and culture student in the arts tract here at the Seattle School. And I'm also in student leadership and have the distinct pleasure to join you and invite you in today to explore the concept or the topics of grief and gratitude during this Thanksgiving season. We're going to do that through an art-based exercise, so don't freak out. You don't have to be an artist or even have any artistic ability whatsoever. You just need a paper and some Sharpies and some colored pencils. So if you need to go grab that, why don't you do that now? Pause this video and do that, and then we will get going. But let's first talk about why we're doing this. So I know for many of us, November and December can be very difficult times filled with both grief and gratitude and joy and all of the feels. In particular to this year, I know many of us are struggling with grief around the election. Some of us may not. We are all in different places. We may have grief about personal loss. We may have grief around broken relationships that then kind of bubble up to the surface when we have family events like Thanksgiving. And being Thanksgiving, we are also encouraged to have gratitude. And sometimes it can feel incongruent and jarring and not good to try to fit those two together. So, we were thinking about is it possible? Is it okay to have a both and relationship with grief and gratitude? And today we're going to explore that through a topic that is near and dear to my heart called neurographics. It's something I've been exploring lately, and it is a neuroscience-based art activity that helps us explore our subconscious and our inner emotions, and letting that energy come out through drawing and through color. And it also helps us rewire some of our synapses in our brain. What wires together fires together. And we will do that around gratitude. So grab some paper, some Sharpies, so hopefully or colored markers that are permanent, which is better. You can use, for color, you can use crayons, colored pencils, more Sharpies, watercolor, whatever floats your boat. So why don't you grab those materials and we will get going. Now that you have your art supplies together, it's time to get us together. So I want you to find a comfortable place wherever you are at. If you are hopefully you're not driving or anything like that. Find a comfortable place to sit, and I want you to silence your phone, get rid of any distractions, and sit, and we're going to breathe and drop into our bodies, close our minds, and let our pondering take place. So I want you to just sit, let your chair or your couch feel and support you. And then we're going to take 3 deep, long breaths. We're going to breathe in for 5, hold for 5, and breathe out for 5. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do that again. Exhale. Inhale for 5. Hold for 5. And exhale for 5. I want you to either keep your eyes closed or soften your gaze. And I want you to think about something you are grieving. It could be a situation, a person, a relationship. I just want you to think about it. And then I want you to pay attention to how it feels in your body. Do you feel tightness in your jaw, in your chest, or in your hands, or your shoulders? I just want you to pay attention to where you feel it with no judgment. I'm not trying to get rid of it, but I just want you to pay attention to it. And then I want you to take your hand or your hands and place it over the part of your body where you feel that tension. And as you think about this grief, I want you to think about or let bubble up to the top 1 or 2 words that come front and center. Emotions, feelings, color. Just give you a few minutes to do that. Could be a shape. I just want you to make note of that. If you need more time, feel free to pause this video and take as much time as you need. But once you have the word or phrase or color or shape that represents this grief, I want you to grab your pens and your paper and join me in the next step. Okay, once you have your paper and your pen, I'm going to choose a permanent black marker, Sharpie. I want you to settle back in to a place of relaxation. If you need to repeat the breathing exercises, I encourage you to do that. And I want you to focus again on those 1 or 2 words or phrases or colors or shapes that you envision that represents your grief. And I want you to take your Sharpie and place it on your page and close your eyes. And I don't want you to lift your pen. Again, just leave it as is. And I want you to imagine what that word or phrase feels like. And I want you to let go of any inclination to draw something specific or right or wrong. There's no right or wrong way to do this. And I just want you to let your mind, your subconscious, guide your pen. Let it draw what you feel. And this may take some getting used to, but just go with the flow. And remember not to pick up your pen, just let your mind guide your pen. And feel free to stop and drop into your brain again, your body again. If you need to, just don't pick up your pen. Okay, I just want to give you a few minutes to do that. There's no rush. If you get done sooner or faster than I did, that is totally fine. Just let your body and your mind guide your pen. And when you feel like you're done, and pick up your pen and open your eyes. As you can see from mine, this is not a representation of anything beautiful or artistic whatsoever. See what I mean by not having to have any artistic ability whatsoever? It is a bunch of scribbles. Okay. We will go on and move on to the next part when you are ready. If you need to pause your camera, feel free to do so. Now that you've drawn your scribbles, the next step in this process, we are going to bring some empathy and self-compassion and love to this grief. And we're going to do that through modifying our drawing a little bit. Now, I want to note here that I think it's very important that this is not an attempt to squash our grief, to get rid of it, to ignore it, to Pollyanna it, to put a silver lining on it, to spiritually bypass it. Grief is real, and it is important that we sit with it, because if we don't deal with it and we just push it aside or stuff it or put it under the rug, pretend it's not there, try to think our way out of it, it will never go away, and we will never truly deal with it. Grief is a natural part of being a human. And I think many times in our cultures, we are expected to just move on, get over it. Why haven't you gotten over it yet? I'm sure you have experienced this in some way, shape, or form. And I just want to make sure you understand that it is important to honor that. It is also important not to live there and steep in it and miss out on all the other amazing, great, beautiful things that life has to offer. So this exercise, if it feels right to you, we are going to help soften it a little bit, not get rid of it, but soften it. And so to do that, we are going to use color, and we are going to use circles and rounded edges. And the brain, from a neuroscience standpoint, from a design standpoint, I think it's absolutely fascinating. Grief or negative emotions tend to have sharp edges and sharp lines. It's just the way it tends to come out. Things that are positive tend to be more circular or soft or round. And aesthetically, our eyes, and you'll see this furniture phenomena right now about this kind of like bubble soft, roundedness. It's because it's aesthetically pleasing and makes our bodies feel better. So I'll show you how to do that in a second. But another thing I want you to do, and again, if you need to pause the video to do this, I want you to find either a scripture verse, if that's important to you, maybe a quote. I love Rumi. There's a Rumi quote that resonates with you, but something that feels like a balm to your grief. Again, if you want to take some time to do this, find that piece of literature, and we're going to bring it to this project. So if you need to do that, grab that, pause this video, and then we will move on to the next step. Okay, for this next part, If you have different sized Sharpies, that's optimal. I have like a finer tip graphic pencil and a finer tip Sharpie. So if you have those, grab those. If not, no worries. And we're going to take your original pen. We're going to draw a circle or a cloud or something that feels soft and flowy around whatever it is that you've drawn. So I'm gonna kind of just go like this, but I'm gonna connect the lines to the edges here. Just like that. Okay. Then I like to go over it again, make it a little bit thicker. All right, so now you have this thing that looks like an amoeba, at least mine does. And now I want you to go into your shape and find places of sharpness. So for me, it might be like these edges here, maybe like right here, right here. And I just want you to draw some circles. Again, they can be all different sizes and they can overlap. They don't have to overlap. Okay. And if you can connect some of these, the sharper edges here, that is key. So go ahead and do that. Okay. All right, now you can spend a lot of time doing this. I won't do that here, but draw as many circles as you possibly can until it feels right to you, okay? Now, there's a whole science behind this, which I will not get into here with synapses and the way that lines connect together. But the important thing is to know that where things intersect, some of these sharp edges in our brain represent those negative emotions. And we now have the opportunity to come in and soften those edges. And that's where these finer tip markers come in. And I want you to go in, again, where it feels natural on some of these and fill in and round out some of these edges. And I'll show you up close here. So take this one, for example, this sharp edge. I'm gonna fill it in and connect it here with kind of a rounded line and then color it in. And then this right here as kind of a 45-degree angle, I'm gonna just round that out with this pen so it's not sharp. And I'm gonna do it again on this side. So the idea here is to go back in and fill in areas that feel sharp and angled and round them out with circles. So like here, I'm gonna fill that in. Here, I'm gonna fill that in. Then you can go back over the lines like that. Now this process, you can make it, this could be an all-day project, a multi-day project. And again, if you want to, pause this video and continue to do this over time, feel free to do that. Just continue to go back in and kind of round that out. And then I like to take my bigger marker and kind of go back over some of these edges here. Okay, and remember, this is all about how our brains like roundness versus sharpness. Okay. All right, I'm gonna let you continue to do that. And when you are ready, we will continue on to the next step. Okay, so once you're done rounding those lines, I want you to put your pen down, and we are going to now move into the gratitude part of this exercise. So we're going to do a little bit of the same thing. So I want you to find a place that's comfortable in your chair. I'm going to adjust mine here again. And take a deep breath. Do in for 5, hold for 5, out for 5. So breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll let you do that on your own for 2 more times. Okay, with your eyes closed or your gaze softened, I want you to think about this situation again. The grief. And I want you to think about someone or something, or maybe it's the divine or God or whatever that is for you. For me, it's God. The provisions or the sovereignty or the comfort or some way that somebody has helped you with this. And I want you to think about a word of gratitude that represents this. Maybe they brought you joy, showed you love, but something you are thankful for in the midst of experiencing that grief. And then I want you to imagine the future. And some time has gone by, the grief has softened. Maybe it's still there, but not nearly as weighty as it used to be. And I want you to think about what it is that you want to be grateful for. What does the resolution of this situation feel like? What emotion is that represented by? Is it joy? Maybe peace, comfort? What does the resolution of this grief feel like? And then I want you to feel thankful for it. What does that look like in your mind's eye, whether it's a color, a shape, or a word? Then I want you to think of something in your surrounding, right now that you are thankful for. It could be a pet, a piece of art, the weather, something that, again, brings peace, joy, or some sort of positive feeling of gratitude for. It doesn't have to be big. It could be the chocolate chip cookie you ate at 2 a.m. last night. And then I want to go back in the past, before this grief happened, and I want you to think of something that you were grateful for before all of this happened. And ascribe an emotion to it, or a name, or a word. I want you to collect those, and you've got something from your past, something from your present, something from your future, and something in the midst of it all. I want you to bring those back to the canvas, and you can collect more if you like, but for now, 4 is just fine. When you're ready, I want you to open your eyes and return to your page. Okay, now the fun part. I want you to take those words and colors and whatever it is that was brought to mind thinking about your past, present, future, and amidst the grief that you were grateful for. I want you to, I'm going to do it with my black pen, but if you want to do it in a color, you go for it. And I want you to fill in those words or phrases in the circles, just like this. Okay. And then if you have more, you can fill in more circles. Or if you only have 4 and you have more circles, more than 4 circles, just do it again. Okay. And again, I didn't have time to go and straighten out all my edges and go back over this with a marker for time wise. I'm just going to skip to this part, but you've done that. And then I want you to take, let's say I have the word hope here. I want you to think about what color to you represents hope. And for me right now, this kind of orangey color is calling my name. And I'm just going to spend some time filling in the circles with this color. And as I do that, I invite you to just take some time to contemplate and think about that word and what it means for you. And this is where kind of the mindfulness comes in, and what you're grateful for as far as hope. And just color. Okay, once you've filled in your circles, I like to go back into the negative space that represents my grief and pick a color that represents my grief. And for me today, that's kind of this dark gray black color, but it could be any color you want. And I just invite you to kind of go fill in the negative spaces around your gratitude. And you can leave it white if you wanted to in some spaces. You don't have to fill in all the negative spaces. But at least maybe try to do the ones that are more situated around your spheres. Okay, so go ahead and do that. And then when you're done, you will have a full amoeba here of colors and words and so forth. And I want you to finalize your drawing with your verse or your quote. And for me right now, that is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And I invite you to write it in a circle around the edge if you can. I mean, just to kind of surround this, to represent surrounding it. You can overlay it. I mean, if you wanted to get into mixed media, you could like cut out words from magazines and kind of lay it over this, or you could put it down here as well. But I'm gonna go ahead and just write it to surround this phenomena for me. Okay, so hopefully you've had some time to finish up and finish coloring in all of your words and your verse or your phrase and the colors and all that thing. So now that you have a beautiful picture of gratitude amongst grief, and I encourage you to maybe put that on your refrigerator or on the mirror in your bathroom as a reminder that if you look hard enough, you can always find reasons and ways to be grateful for the things in your life, even amidst the worst possible grief. So I would love to see your drawings. These are just some of the ones that I have done recently. Another one I started, and then, you know, this one that I'm still working on. But I hope that was helpful. I hope that it was intuitive, meaningful, and provocative in some ways. So anyway, if you feel like sharing your experience with me, I would love to hear it. I'd love to see your drawing if you're willing to share that too. And may you have a wonderful, beautiful, thankful Thanksgiving filled with gratitude. Thank you, guys.